What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and it's Fresh Build Friday. That's right, it's that time of the week again where we get you ready for the weekend with a brand new coil build. So I've gotten a ton of requests to do this type of coil over the past few weeks, so I decided to have a go at it myself. This is the Fragon build. Yes, you heard me right, the Fragon build. Now, what is a Fragon build, you might ask? Well, Dragon is a wicking technique where the cotton, instead of going through the middle of the coil, goes around the outside, and we're using a nano coil today. That's the type of coil that we're going to be using. And instead of doing a standard round wire, we're using fused Clapton. So this is a fused Clapton Dragon coil for those of you that are the tech junkies and, that really care about the name. Technically, this is a Fragon coil. So there you go. Make sure you pay attention, especially during the wicking technique, because that, in my opinion, is the most important part. So with that being said, let's go ahead and grab our tools, our mod, our addy, our wick, our wire, our juice, all that good stuff. Let's go down to the close-up view and build it up. Alright guys, so as you can see, I'm just pre-making the wire here, and I'm doing this to save a little bit of time because the wicking technique on this one is going to take quite a while. So, just doing the standard fused Clapton technique with the spinners. I'm using 26 gauge Canthal as the cores and 36 gauge nichrome as the outer wire. Just kind of doing the thing here. If you don't know how to make fused Claptons, then make sure you check out one of my earlier videos. I've done quite a few with fused Claptons, so make sure you check those ones out if you want to learn some techniques and tricks and tips and things like that. But that being said, here we have the 2 strands of fused Clapton wire all ready to go here. That's what we're going to be using today for our Fragon coils. So I've got my 1.5 millimeter bit here on this little Coil Master jig, and that's what we're going to be wrapping around today. I've noticed also that these little Allen keys that come with a lot of the RTAs and RDAs nowadays are the exact same size as this bit, so that's perfect. So I'm going to use this just to wrap the coils around, and then we'll use the little Allen key to organize our coils a little bit later on. So just going through just like a normal coil here, we're just going to do our first wrap, and today we're going to be doing 8 wraps. Hopefully that brings up the resistance enough so that we can use it on a box mod. That's really the end game here when it comes to the Fragon coils, because I don't know, I really want to be able to control the power on these just a little bit. So let's see, that's 4 wraps. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Alright, so we're going to leave our leads really long on this one because I want to leave a lot of room behind the coil so that I can fit some more wicking material in there. So I'm just going to organize our leads real quick and we'll make another coil. So here we have the coils that we just built, and as you can see, they're very, very tiny, and that's kind of the deal with these Fragon coils. Very tiny little coils with an outer wrap of cotton. So let's just go ahead and get building here. Let's bring in our Goon Addy on top of our Council of Vapor Tempest. That's the hardware that we're going to be using today. Got everything all ready to go here, so all right. First things first, let's just install one of our coils. I'm just kind of getting the leads all set up here. Slip it underneath. And the way we want this one built is you want to leave a little bit of extra room. So as you can see, I have my coil set a little bit further out than we normally do, and that's exactly what we want. So we want to just leave a little bit of extra lead space to have a little bit more room on the other side of the coil for wicking material. So we're just going to kind of temporarily leave that as it is as we install our other coil. Just try to keep a finger on it to make sure it's not moving around too much on us here. Just kind of getting those coils in there. Can be a bit of a chore, but you want it just right. You don't want to go and mess up your coils as you're installing them. So yeah, just want to neaten the whole thing out. Now I'm moving all over the place here. Just want to neaten the whole thing up as you go. Just kind of maintain the same amount of room all the way down the coil here. So just kind of nudge, nudge, nudge until you get that perfect amount. And we're looking pretty good. So I think we're ready to tighten these suckers down. Maybe a little bit more room on this one here. And just like any Goon build, you just want to kind of slowly just tighten one and then tighten the other, and then go back and forth until everything's in place. And I'm actually going to leave these leads attached for now until we get everything kind of situated. So just kind of do that. Now we tighten up the other side, like so. Make sure it's all good and tight. And before I trim the leads, we're just going to quickly angle these coils here. So just want to stick our Allen wrench through, and we're going to give these a 45-degree angle. And the reason I like that is so that the vapor just kind of shoots out the top. And that's the kind of the special effect of this coil, is that the vapor just kind of shoots out the top of these ones, and it looks really cool. So I kind of want to just have the angle on there so it kind of shoots out at a 45-degree angle, which makes it look even cooler. So that's why we left our leads extra long as well, so we can just kind of angle them up and still have plenty of room behind there. And yeah, pretty good so far. I think we just have enough lead space in there so that everything will work just fine for us. You don't want too much, because then you're going to end up touching the cap. You're going to have no cap clearance, so you want to just make it just right. And you kind of get the idea by looking at it from the side here. We've got that one and that one. So now the next step is just trimming our leads. So now that we have our leads all trimmed up, I'm just going to give these coils one last little snug before we go and fire them, just to make sure everything's in line as it should be here. And we are looking good. I'm pretty excited about this one here. So let's go ahead and set our mod at 45 watts to give it a first initial fire. Slowly pulsing it at first, just to get those coils a little bit warm. Just like any other coil build, you want to just kind of brush across the top, and you want the same end result. Heating from the inside out and heating nice and evenly. And that's a good way to spot, trouble spots, is just if something's not heating up evenly or something like that, then you know you have an issue. So just giving them a little bit of heat, getting those coils nice and warmed up. So you can see one of the coils is lighting up a little bit faster. So I'm just going to double check my screws real quick. Just making sure, because you can never be too sure that your screws are tight enough. There we go. Just give them one last little snug like that. That usually helps things along. And we're starting to see them glow from the inside out now. Once those leads get a good amount of heat to them, like right in between here and the coil, once those get a good amount of heat, they tend to temper themselves, and that's how they start glowing from the inside out, which is definitely a good thing. So there we go. Any wire where it's doubled over, like at the bottom of these coils, is going to heat up a tiny bit faster. But that's really not something that we should be concerned about right now. I think we are looking pretty good. Let's give them a go-ahead with the high wattage mode. Let's bump it up to 75 real quick. Just to see how it handles it. Yeah. Pretty good. Still a few little trouble spots to get out, but a couple more times heating these things up and I think we'll be good to go. There you go. Let's give it a shot from the other side. Glowing good. I think we are all set to wick this thing. So let's let these coils cool down and then we'll wick them. Alright guys, we've got our native wicks cotton all ready to go. I've got a fairly long strip here and I've just kind of pointed the tip. And this is actually how we're going to get it underneath the build deck. And you just kind of have to snake it through here just ever so gently. You don't want to crush it up too much, so you just want to roll that very tip of it. And once you get it through there, you want to try to get it as flat as possible. So I usually like to sneak my tweezers in between the cotton and the coil just to kind of lay it flat as it goes underneath and just kind of pull it from the other side. So if you'll look closely at the Goon build deck, it's got this really big flat surface underneath, which is actually going to work to our advantage on this one here. So once you get it like that, this is kind of like the start to our Dragon Coil. Let's give you guys a quick close-up here. So once you get it like this, You're going to take one end of that cotton and start to lift up on it a little bit here, and you just want to tuck it, roll the tip of it here, and we're going to tuck it in between and down behind the bottom of the coil. And this is where it gets really, really tricky, so you got to pay very close attention to what you're doing here. Make sure you're grabbing the right piece of cotton. I can see it. I can see the end of it. So I'm just going to get these little tiny tweezers here. You got to keep it separated at the same time. And you don't want to be too rough on it at the same time as well, because then you're going to end up breaking that strip. So you just kind of slowly, gently kind of pull on it until it starts feeling a little bit tighter there. You want to pack a little bit of that cotton behind the coil, and you want to make sure the open end, or the top end here, stays somewhat open, because that's how that's where the vapor is going to actually escape from. So you just kind of want to leave it like that, but at the same time you want to just kind of keep tension on the back part of it there. So once we've got it kind of pretty well tucked in and pulled as tightly as you can get it, just kind of maneuver that cotton back and through the back end here, just so it kind of bunches up right at the bottom end of the coil, because the point of the Dragon coil is to have one end completely blocked off with cotton and have a little layer right next to the bottom end there, and the other end is open, so that's where the vapor kind of comes through. So just kind of mold it into place a little bit. You can even use a little bit of e-liquid to mold it if you have to. Now let's go ahead and do the other side. Alright, so the moment you've all been waiting for, let's see how this thing vapes. I'm just going to turn it up real quick to 100 watts. Let's see how it vapes. Woo! Yeah, that vapor is definitely shooting out those holes real fast. So let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the close-up of this video. Now let's talk about the coils that we just built. Now before I go any further, I just wanted to show you guys what this thing looks like with the cap off. So let's go ahead and fire it up. Whew, she's an angry dragon. So yeah, that's kind of where it gets its name from, because the vapor just kind of shoots off in two different directions. The reason that's true is because the bottom end of these coils are blocked off with the cotton that we put right on the deck. Therefore, the vapor has no place to go but out, so that's why it kind of shoots out in those directions there. Anyways, let's go ahead and get on with the technical details. I'm vaping it right now at 100 watts. The final resistance came out to 0.2 ohms, and the average voltage is around 4.5, so it's a bit of a warm one. As far as the heat's concerned, yeah, it's a little bit warm, tiny bit warmer than I normally like to vape at, but I feel like at 100 watts, that's where the ramp up really kind of comes into play. So 75 watts is definitely vapable on this one if you like a somewhat cooler build, but if you want a faster ramp up, 100 watts is really where you want to go with. Speaking of ramp up and ramp down, the ramp up on this one is about half a second to a full second. The ramp down, let's go ahead and have a vape on it and we'll check it out. So as far as the ramp down is concerned, it's a very mild ramp down, about 1 to 2 seconds, and it's kind of a lot lighter than I was expecting, considering these coils don't have any cotton going through the middle, and it's really reliant on how well you do the wicking job as far as getting juice to that coil goes. It's pretty decent. These coils in particular definitely need to stay very wet, so even if you take about 3 or 4 pulls off of it, and it still might look a little bit wet, you might have to just give it a little extra juice so it doesn't run dry in the middle of your next pull. So just be aware of that if you're planning on building this one at home. You might run into a little bit of a dry hit issue if you like to chain vape a lot. So there's that. As far as the difficulty of this build is concerned, really it's on the easier side. As long as you can nail the fused claptons, I feel like this one is just like any other coil. The wicking technique is the most difficult part, of course, with this one here. I had a heck of a time getting it done on this Goon RDA. You're going to have a lot easier time doing it on a 3-post RDA, but honestly, I don't really have one kicking around that I can really build on. So I went ahead and tried it on the Goon anyways. But yeah, the wicking technique is a bit finicky. You're going to have to practice this one a few times. You might end up having to rip out that cotton more than once before you get it perfect. But yeah, once you get it down, I feel like the vape that you get out of it is definitely worth the effort. So as far as the flavor is concerned, the final category, the one you've all been waiting for, I'm vaping on some of this Vapetasia fruit and custard mango flavor. And it's pretty darn good. I really like this flavor in a tank, but on this one here, I get a lot of that top note of mango. Very sweet, very ripe and refreshing. I lose a little bit of the custard, however. This is definitely not going to be a great build for custards. I feel like for all you fruit lovers out there, this one's going to be for you. As far as custards are concerned, you're going to lose a lot of that bottom end of those rich tones. So if I were to do this one again, I would probably have chosen something maybe a little bit lighter and fruitier without any custard in it, because I'm not really getting much custard flavor at all. So there you go. That's my little review on the Fragon Coil. Feel free to build this one at home, guys, because it is a lot of fun and it's definitely a challenge, but I feel like any experienced builder could definitely do it themselves. So there you go, guys. That about does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Of course, leave me comments in the box below of what you think of the Fragon Coil build, whether or not you want to try it out, or if you have a suggestion for a future Fresh Build Friday video, make sure you leave it down there for me to check out. I'd love to talk to you guys. Of course, check out the advocacy links I have in the description. You got to stand up and fight for your right to vape. You don't have to do everything, but you do have to do something. Also, check me out on my different social medias. I have Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you follow me on there. Like my page on Facebook. Check out my Snapchat. And if you want to give me a couple bucks on Patreon, that would be awesome as well. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, vape on.